Well, the 2025 Lions Tour is up and running, and the first game against Argentina in Dublin did not go the way that I expected it to. Welcome back to the channel. Give me your comments down below. What did you make of the game, the performance, and Andy Farrell's comments as well? Should we start there? Maybe that's a good place to. Like the video and subscribe to the channel as well. But Andy Farrell, the Lions head coach, has a very different read on this game to what I had at the end of it. So Farrell has said, for those of you that haven't seen, that basically it wasn't good enough and that they weren't accurate enough. And I completely get where he's coming from. But when I say my view on the game was different, it was... I suppose I felt like there would be more positives for the Lions to take out of this than there would be negatives. But Andy Farrell, seriously not happy. Not happy at all. Not good enough, too many drop balls, forcing passes and offloads. And he's not wrong there, but let me explain what I mean. Because firstly, this was way more of a test than I expected for the Lions. It felt like more of a test match. Honestly, I was expecting it to be two teams whose players were at the end of a long season, who hadn't had much time to train and prepare together. And it almost to have more of a feel of a kind of barbarians game where you get some open rugby. It can all be a bit kind of crazy and helter-skelter, but not have the intensity of a test match or some of the quality of a test match. And it had both of those things. It was played at real pace, like from the opening kickoff, what was it, 3.5 minutes, I think it was, before we had a break in play. It was played at pace. It was physical, I think, from both teams. There was some great skill on display. And so the reason I felt pretty positive was actually, I thought, for a starting point for the Lions, and look, they're hoping to build, right? They're hoping to peak for the test matches against Australia. I thought as a starting point, that would be a pretty good place to build from. And I thought it'd be a really good test for them. Particularly because it's a tour where you look at some of the warm-up games, and I did a video yesterday actually about saying how much would the Lions be tested in these warm-up games. Well, that's been proven false at the opening match, but I think there's still a question of how much of a test are they going to get in Australia. So therefore, I was looking at this game, and the reason I felt positive and I felt very different to Andy Farrell is it's a really good test. It's a really good platform to build upon. You're never happy to lose. Yes, you're going to be disappointed. 1974, by the way, remains the only Lions team to be undefeated on a tour. That like legendary side of Willie John McBride and JPR Williams and all those sorts of players. They're still going to be the only undefeated one. So but I get there's disappointment from the Lions, disappointment at defeat, but surely there's so many positives to take from that. And I wondered whether it was just a case of Argentina were a bit more of a team. As I've said already, neither of the sides had loads of preparation, but they would have played together more. I wonder whether that was the difference. So generally, those were my thoughts. I thought pretty positive here. And a defeat's not necessarily the worst thing. Definitely not necessarily the worst thing. But Andy Farrell saw it differently. He was basically saying they were forcing things, which I thought was interesting. Watching the game, I was thinking they must have been told to attack in this way, but maybe they were going against the grain a little bit. Farrell, not a happy man. Let's talk about the Lions a bit more generally. Because I thought, and Andy Farrell maybe won't thank me for saying this, given that he wasn't happy with the performance, I thought you could see his influence on that team. I thought there was elements of the attack that looked like Ireland. I think there was elements of the intensity in defence as well. And there was a certain shape to their play at times you could see they were trying to replicate. I felt it was just a classic case of a team having not been together all that long. So it wasn't perfect, but that was kind of expected, wasn't it? Maybe my expectations were too low, but certainly from where I thought the Lions would be for the first game of this tour, I thought they were ahead of schedule. Having said that, though, and to use a great coaching phrase here, two really big work-ons actually for me, for the Lions. First of all is the accuracy, which I've referenced already. There were so many occasions where they broke the line and they tried an offload and it went to ground, or they were just forcing things and it didn't quite work out. And it worked in defence as well, actually, because they had some good defensive sets and there were big turnovers. For Jack Morgan had one and Tom Curry had one. I thought Atoje was really, really good. They had good defensive moments, but then all of a sudden there'd be a wide pass that misses a few, a great line from an Argentinian player, and they'd break through. There were defensive lapses that they clearly need to work on. And actually, I think the biggest thing for me watching that game, and was thinking it in the first half and it continued throughout the rest of the game. The biggest cause of concern for the Lions, like if you are Joe Schmidt, the Wallabies head coach, and you're watching that game, it's the kicking game and it's the aerial battle where I thought the Lions weren't great. So many times Argentina put the ball up in the air and they batted it back, they competed, it was messy, and Argentina was super effective off turnover balls. Some of the tries they scored were exceptional. And so the kicking game was probably, for me, the biggest concern to come out of this one. I don't know if it possibly because of the back three they had selected. Marcus Smith, Duan aren't the best under the high ball. Tommy Freeman's pretty good. Didn't have his best day. Elliot Daly, when he came on, was a little bit more assured. So perhaps that's something in terms of selection that we should keep an eye on. But for me, kicking game, definite area and a cause for concern. So those are kind of my general thoughts on the game and the Lions, and it's only the first test, isn't it? We haven't seen any of the players, well, pretty much none of the players from Leinster or Bath who are going to come back in, plus plenty of others as well. Let me know in the comments anything that you felt, anything that I haven't touched upon. And as I said at the start of the video, make sure you're subscribed as well. I'm here in Perth. Don't know if you're going to be able to see out the window, but yeah, it's still raining. It's been raining pretty much since I arrived. So let me know and subscribe, like the video. In terms of individual players, it's a really funny game for me because the Lions lost. The head coach isn't happy at all. But personally, I didn't really feel like there was any player that came out of this having lost credit. I thought there were some good performances. I thought Finlay Bealham, actually, for a guy that wasn't originally selected, was really good in the opening 20 minutes, had a real kind of energy and intensity about him. There were good moments, like particularly in the second half, Ellis Genge and Ben Earl got into the game more. I thought Atoje was really good at captain. As I said, I thought everyone had their moments. Maybe you'd say that Van der Merwe had one of his quieter games, but he wasn't bad. He had a few moments. Freeman, I thought, got better throughout. I thought there were times actually that Marcus Smith and Finn Smith, and kind of having those dual playmakers worked well, particularly with the centre partnership. That had to work for the Lions. When you've got Aki and Tuipulotu, they had to interchange. I thought they worked well at times. So it was a strange game because I didn't feel, in terms of thinking about selection, and this is what happens now on a Lions tour, isn't it? We're always thinking, who's going to be the test team? Who's going to start the first test? And every game you're looking at your kind of selection. I didn't feel anyone came out of it badly, personally. But maybe that's not the case. Maybe those coaches are going to look at it and they're going to see things that they're not happy with here, there and everywhere. So maybe there are players that haven't exactly helped themselves. I thought they played pretty well. I thought they came up against a really good Argentinian team. And that is where I'll finish this video. Great scenes at the end. You could see how much it meant to them. Beating the Lions for the first time. And they were brilliant. Like, they played so well. I thought, and in my preview video, I basically said that it's a good Argentinian team. I'm not sure they've got the experience off the bench to be able to compete with the Lions. And they did. Even when the Lions took the lead in that second half and Argentina had a man in the bin and you thought possibly that's when they'd pull away, they came right back into it. They scored some brilliant tries, counter-attacking, length of the field stuff, and a great, great moment for them. What a way for them to start their season and to start their year ahead of the Rugby Championship. What a positive kind of platform that they've given themselves to move on. As for the Lions, is it a positive platform or is it a negative? As I say, I thought it was a positive overall. I know that you want to win, but I think that could well be the toughest test they face ahead of playing the Wallabies. In which case, losing isn't the worst thing, being tested isn't the worst thing, being in an arm wrestle, all that sort of stuff. I came out of it feeling pretty positive about the Lions. Give me your views in the comments down below. Like the video, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss a thing from me down under here in Australia, where hopefully it's going to brighten up. I look forward to reading your comments. I'll see you in the next one.